Ancient Greece, a legendary civilization that was born between the shores of the Mediterranean and the Aegean Sea about 4000 years ago from now. The Greeks were scattered in some 1500 self-governing independent cities around the shores of eastern Mediterranean and the Black Sea. In the first millennium BCE, they made important contributions to philosophy, mathematics, astronomy and medicine. Today, a lot of the scientific knowledge we possess was originated for the first time in ancient Greece. 2600 years ago, Thales of Miletus began developing philosophy. He is considered as the first ever philosopher and is supposed to have predicted a solar eclipse in 585 BCE. His disciple Democritus of Abdera, an ancient Greek scientist, put forward the first ever atomic theory of the universe. And Greek mathematicians like Pythagoras, Euclid and Archimedes revolutionized geometry. This video is not about what contributions ancient Greeks made to science or philosophy. We all are well aware of their contributions in mathematics, astronomy, physics and medicine. This video is about understanding why were they able to do so, what made them special, scientific, progressive and led their culture to make great discoveries about the world. This video is about understanding why ancient Greeks were so good at science and what separated them from those who came before them. Hi guys, myself Pratik and you are watching Eclectic. Here we talk about our past, present and future. And today let's discuss how ancient Greeks gave rise to scientific thinking and made possible our present day scientific achievements. In a general sense, humanity has derived all of its knowledge by observing nature. When we observed stars and other celestial bodies, we gave rise to astronomy. When we observed different shapes and sizes in nature, we gave rise to geometry to grasp and comprehend the physical reality of the world. This can be said about every other field of knowledge that exists out there. If human knowledge is merely based on observing nature, did the civilizations that came before ancient Greece observe nothing about the natural world? For instance, humans developed cognitive abilities such as learning, communication and imagination some 70,000 years ago, and ancient Greek civilization arose 4,000 years ago. So what about the people who lived in between these two events? Did they live in blissful ignorance and observe nothing about the natural world? Did they accumulate nothing in terms of knowledge? Were the Greeks first to observe the natural phenomena? No, that's not the case at all. Geometry, a branch of mathematics, flourished long before the rise of ancient Greece. Most prehistoric structures would have been impossible to build without the basic understanding of geometry. Some of them required at least practical knowledge of Pythagoras' theorem. We attribute this theorem to Greek mathematician Pythagoras, but in reality it was widely used throughout Asia, the Middle East and Neolithic Europe 2000 years before the birth of Pythagoras. Can you imagine building pyramids without understanding geometry? No, right? In the eastern part of the world, ancient Chinese almost independently developed sophisticated systems to document and predict astronomical events and created very accurate star catalogs. So if all of this knowledge existed long before the rise of Greeks, why do we credit them for building the foundation of modern science? You see, Greeks may not have been the first civilization to observe the natural world and its fascinating natural phenomena, but they were certainly the first to put forward theories to explain the universal laws that govern the natural world. They looked at all the observations humanity has been making about the natural world, and then they combined those observations with their new invention philosophy, and with its help they put forward theories and mathematical equations in an attempt to explain the universe. Before the Greeks, human knowledge was largely unorganized. It was the Greeks who made the first attempt to organize the knowledge humanity has been accumulating for thousands of years. They did not just stop at organizing knowledge, they took it one step further and categorized knowledge into various fields and presented it in a systematic manner so that common people could make sense of it. The Greek philosopher Aristotle was the first to invent the idea of the division of the sciences into various fields, distinguished both by their subject matters and by their methods. The Greek invention of the organized knowledge and the discovery of how to learn systematically is what made them special. They changed knowledge from mystery into a public thing, and the one primary reason why were they able to do so is curiosity, their curious way of looking at the world. Just like every other ancient culture, ancient Greece was a polytheistic culture, which means they worshipped many gods, like Ares the god of war, Poseidon the sea god, and Zeus the king of all gods. Greek mythology, just like any other mythology, was a collection of legends and folktales. But there was one thing that separated Greeks from others. They did not take mythology much seriously. Greeks did not treat their religion and gods as the supreme authority over knowledge. The first ever known historian, Herodotus, who lived in ancient Greece in the 5th century BCE, dismissed ancient myths as unverifiable and started recording his and others' eyewitness accounts of contemporary or near contemporary events. In doing so, he invented history. Greeks did not rely on the divine element to explain the natural world or to explain the things that were too difficult to understand. They did not rely on religion for finding answers to questions about human existence or the origin of the universe. All the other ancient civilizations relied heavily on religion to understand or to comprehend the weird natural phenomena they saw around them. For many ancient civilizations, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, or other natural hazards were explained by religion. They had separate theories to explain each natural phenomena, from the rising sun and growth of plants to natural calamities. They held accountable certain deity for every natural process. But not the Greeks. They were iconoclastic. They enjoyed questioning old beliefs. The Greeks were one of the first groups of people to use logic, reason, and science to try to understand why certain events were happening around them. They were probably the first people to come forward and say, hey, let's try and be better than our ancestors. They really loved progress. In contrast, ancient Egyptians, another civilization that lived across Mediterranean, never questioned its beliefs for almost 3000 years. If you visit two temples built by Egyptians, one is 2000 years older than the other and one is relatively new, still you would find that both the Egyptian temples are more or less the same. Architecture, the chief deity, the old beliefs, everything the same. It remained unchanged throughout the history of ancient Egypt. Greeks, on the other hand, were religious but did not submit to blind faith. They were incredibly curious and took interest in learning everything around them, from the laws of nature to the nature of human beings. Greeks did not submit to religion and they did not jump to premature conclusions about how the world works. Maybe that's why Socrates once said, "The only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing." To be a real Greek, one had to love wisdom and leave arrogance behind. In fact, Greeks gave human arrogance a special name, hubris. In ancient Greece, hubris was a sin and Greeks worshipped a goddess Nemesis who punished those who committed it. That is what it takes to be a scientifically progressive culture. Cultures that blame everything on God don't make much progress in science and technology. Advancements in scientific inquiry can only happen in an environment that encourages questions, the sharing of ideas, and openness to different approaches. Curiosity is the backbone of scientific thought. That is why we say, future belongs to the curious, the ones who are not afraid to try it, explore it, question it, and turn it inside out. Any civilization that teaches its citizens to be curious shall lead the world, and others shall perish before the beautiful Greek goddess Nemesis.